Good. Thank you, Troy. Oh, Righto, councillors, we'll get underway with our council meeting for the 25th of June 2026. And I'll get Chris to open with a karakia. Thank you, Chris.
Morning, councillors. Whakataka hou ki te uru, whakataka hou ki te tonga, kia makinakina ki uta, kia mataratara ki tai, he aka ana te atakura, he tio, he huka, he ho hu, ti hei mauri oru.
Thank you, Chris. Just a note, and we'll pick it up when we confirm the agenda, but the Water Science Prize we've delayed till next council meeting. The young recipient of it is unable to join us today. So it would be nice to have her here to accept that. So we'll roll that over until July meeting. And there's a couple of glass awards in front of me here. I'm not quite sure how you turn them. But anyway, I'll hand over to Chris to explain their relevance to us in the council.
Yeah, no, thank you, Warren. Just ask Alicia to come forward. Michelle, you come forward as well. I'm not sure if we've got Steve Hall online, but I had the pleasure of being at the Taituata Awards last Thursday night in Wellington with Alicia and Steve. Michelle wasn't there. And we were in for the Taituata every year. That's the local government managers throughout New Zealand have awards. They're very prestigious. And we had an entry in for Pathways to the Sea strategy for Environmental Leadership Award, which we won. And Alicia received. And then we were deemed the overall winner, supreme winner of all the awards. So we've got 2 awards from the night, the category award and the supreme overall awards. And I just want to note that something I got sent from the judges. Your entry was chosen from a field of 69, and the Waikato Regional Council has become the first council to win the Supreme Award more than once. So we won the initial awards. We got the Supreme Award with the Kawe Kōrero app that some of you might use to assist you. We've also received a category award when we did the Section 33 transfer to Ngāti Tūpare, and we've received this one. And the panel of judges said that the Pathways to the Sea successfully reconciles legacy asset management decisions with today's environmental and ecological expectations. It's an exemplar in its use of new technology, a meticulous compilation of an evidence base over 6 years, its successful collaboration of 14 funding partners, and its partnership with iwi. The high level of national and international interest in this project makes this one of the year's most transferable entries. So that's high praise for what this council's done, and it's due to dedication of a bunch of people. Dave, I think just before I ask Alicia, Greg, Michelle, Steve, if they'd like to make any comment, Dave, I've got the video of what was played at the awards.
Extensive land use change across Aotearoa, New Zealand over the past 150 years has altered natural hydrological systems.
In the Waikato, flood protection and land drainage networks were developed to support agriculture and safeguard communities.
These networks were built many decades ago with little consideration for ecological impacts, but now we know that pump stations prevent safe downstream migration of fish species. In particular, our long-lived native tuna, which breed once in their lifetime, out in the deep subtropical waters of the Pacific Ocean.
Waikato Regional Council has 124 pump stations. We have more than any other region, so we had a responsibility to act. In 2019, we launched a 6-year research programme called Pathways to the Sea. We wanted to find out how we could ensure safe pathways for tuna and other native fish while still providing reliable flood protection.
We received co-funding from 14 partners nationwide to test a wide range of solutions, such as fish-friendly pump technologies, gravity bypasses, trap and transfer, and electrical deterrents. iwi helped shape research priorities, developed a method to trap and transfer eels through our pumped catchments, and they participated in fieldwork. In total, more than 20 technical reports were produced.
The biggest issue was no one was making fish-friendly pumps in New Zealand. There was uncertainty about overseas designs because their eels are a lot smaller than ours. We worked with Callaghan Innovations and McEwen's Pumping Systems to develop and build a fish-friendly pump that can easily be retrofitted into existing infrastructure. We also tested pumps from Fish Flow Innovations in the Netherlands and Bedford Pumps in the UK.
Once the pumps were in, we monitored their fish friendliness over the downstream tuna migration season. Based on our monitoring, we got safe tuna passage rates of up to 100%.
Today, as a result of all of our research, fish-friendly pumps are the standard for all of our pump replacements. Wherever possible, we include gravity bypass outlets into all new pump station designs.
So, just to, Alicia, would you like to, oh, is it not finished? Doesn't matter. Alicia, you might just like to, you got the gist of what the award was for. You might like to just make some comments about the project.
Cool, thanks, Chris. Yeah, I guess I've worked on this project for 6 years, and Michelle for probably 4 or 5 of those years as well. But yeah, I'm really proud of what we've achieved as a council. There's a really large team involved in this project, and it was great to be national leaders in this space. So no other council in New Zealand has done anything like this. We are now leading the way, and our results have resulted in other councils now putting in fish-friendly pumps around the country. So that's a really great achievement. I guess from our perspective, we are only halfway through what we consider as a potential project. So we focused here on downstream passage through our infrastructure, but there was no look into upstream passage. It was out of scope at the time. And under the New Zealand policy statement for freshwater management, every council in New Zealand has to undertake a fish passage action plan, which identifies all our fish barriers across the region, how we're to prioritise those, and then remediate them. And so I see a great opportunity for us to look into how we can do this. I guess specifically within ICM, we have 468 floodgates across the region. They're all at the lower ends of our riverscapes, where they are crucial fish migration corridors. So if we could, I guess, turn our focus into upstream passage, we've already shown that we can, deliver a really complex project and get national outcomes from it. So, I don't know if you want.
Or just really reiterating what Alicia said, that really proud of this project. We had a big team working on the project, so Steve Hall and Alicia are a really great project steering group as well. So yeah, it was a great project to be involved with. Really proud of the outcome.
The final thing I'll say, is that I've received a huge amount of really positive feedback on the night. The number of people who came up and said that was absolutely worthy. That people love the work. It's a win-win. They see between trying to help economies and look after the environment and so on. I've had a lot of positive feedback since. At the Mural Forum the other day, it was acknowledged, wasn't it, Warren? So it's quite rare to get that when you win an award. So I just want to say congratulations to the staff, but congratulations to council. It's a really cool thing to have done, and it's a great award to have won.
Yeah, thanks, Chris. And just from myself, just from the councillors, congratulations and all the hard work. Obviously, it's happened over a number of years, right from investigation through to implementation. So really cool to see that, and really cool to see it being acknowledged by our peers throughout the country. So fantastic. Robbie, did you want to make a comment?
Yeah, no, just congratulations to everybody, and I just hope since the work was so outstanding and understanding the outcomes, that they actually help fund the next part of it, to get them back in the catchment. So the resourcing and the required to go through that part of the research.
Thanks, Robbie. Nobody else wants a comment at all? Obviously, we have been exposed to the fish-friendly pumps and that sort of thing a number of times through ICM. So thank you very much, ladies. And sorry, Gary.
You just clarification. What I didn't pick up in the video, because you looked at the Dutch. Was your design your own design, or did you? First part, and the second part of the question is, have we actually commercialised any of the LIP? Be able to capture any of that for ourselves, or is there any value in that?
So with the encased Archimedes screw pump, which is the Fish Flow Innovations pump from the Netherlands, no, we haven't. That's their pump that they designed, but they tested it over there where their eels only grow up to about 700 to 800 millimeters. Ours obviously grow a lot larger than that. So they said, oh, it's 100% safe, but we didn't know. So again, we brought it in and tested it. Same with the Bedford submersibles, but we did go down a R&D route with Callaghan Innovation and McEwen's pump, because McEwen's are about 80% of our pump manufacturers across the region. So they came up with the 2430. So that was a completely new design. And they are yet to recoup costs for that. And once they do that, they're looking to expand into other size ranges.
Just an add on to that. So Greg is working with a company in Christchurch at the moment to see if they can come up with their own design. And so we can try and get these manufactured locally.
Excellent. Once again, congratulations, guys. Yeah, bask in the glory. Well done. Right, next up we have apologies. We have one apology for Councillor Stoic. Their absence to be accepted. Everybody else is here or online. Yep, thank you, Jen. Seconded. Thank you, Noel. All those in favour? Opposed? So carried. Confirmation of the agenda. Just noting that earlier piece, which is it's now in that space, that the water science project will be deferred to a subsequent meeting of the council, and the order of items follows set out in the minutes. Thank you, Gary. Thank you, Chris. All those in favour? Opposed? So carried. Are there any disclosures of interest for anyone on any of the items on the agenda today? It's a no, thank you. So we now move to minutes for confirmation. And the first one up is the council minutes of the 28th of May. Just noting that Councillor Katarina Hodge was in attendance, and this has been missed with the reporting back of these minutes. Apart from that omission, everyone happy with the way they've been recorded? Yeah. So move Katarina, seconded Ben. All those in favour? Opposed? So carried. So we have two sets of minutes here. The minutes from the Te Nehi Nehi Nui Co-Governance Forum on the 18th of May and the Risk and Assurance Committee on the 3rd of June. And the three. And the Finance and Performance Committee on the 21st of April to be received. A mover and a seconder, if everyone's happy. Which one's the 13th of May? Yeah, sorry, it's incorrect in front of me. Yep, thank you, Chris. Happy to move with that. And Keith, seconded. All those in favour? Opposed? So carried. And we have recommendations coming up from the Finance and Performance Committee meeting on the 13th of May. Did you want to speak to those, Chris? Just with the mic. Yeah.
I'll just speak very briefly to them. Basically, this was encouraging largely because of excellent cost control. So I'd like to thank the executive and the team for that. One major negative is underspend and CapEx. Better. I'm sure we were at. And also just reporting that the investment fund expect in the current environment during the quarter, but it was reported with interest in subsequent months. So we'll wait until the end of the year for that. Other than that, I'd like nothing of note to further, so I'd just like resolutions. Thanks.
Any other questions on that? Otherwise, we have a mover in Councillor Hughes, a seconder in Councillor Holmes. Oh, sorry, I didn't see your light on.
Every time I put on the past.
A trend I intend to continue.
Let's start the meeting as we meant to.
Yeah.
Is there a plan to get that carry forward completed in the 12 months, as well as the current planned year? So we've got 2 lots of work to be done. So I'd just like to ensure that there is a plan, make sure that we just don't keep carrying this forward and the work gets done. I can't answer that, but the funds have been left there for future years.
We'll go to the director, Greg, just for a comment around that work program.
So this is in relation to the capital program.
Yeah.
Yes, it is included in the 26-27. So the 2 areas of carry forward relate to the generator replacement in the Waiho, and so that work is underway, and it's also not work that is tagged to the weather or resource consent, so we can freely get that work happening. The other element is a delay due to the weather because of a stop bank project. That work is already contracted and it will continue on in October this year.
That's good. I just didn't want to see it continually, carrying forward and having a realistic program. Thank you. Maybe if I can just comment generally, I think, and either Greg or Chris may wish to comment that generally I think the organisation achieves about 85% of CapEx. So, yeah.
And just in addition to that, through Chair, I think it is our biggest capital program plan for this year, and I think we would have been on track for delivery. I won't comment on the generators, but bar the weather for the stop banks. So.
Thank you. So we have a mover in Councillor Hughes and a second. Oh, sorry, Robbie.
I just want to make clear there was lower Waikato stock banks was that part of it.
Right. Yep. Moved Councillor Hughes, seconded Councillor Holmes. All those in favour? Opposed? So carried. We have a recommendation up from the Risk and Assurance Committee. I'll come to Chris for a comment just around that. Thanks, Chris. Yeah.
Okay. Thanks, Warren. Yeah, look, it was actually quite a positive meeting. The highlights for me were a presentation from our Chief Executive on what keeps him awake at night. and one can understand that with the way the world is at the moment and what are the implications back to the Waikato. So that was a very worthwhile part of the meeting, as it always is. And the other section of it, there was this ongoing reviews in terms of risk processes, risk management. Annual leave, there was comments made on the fact that that's increasing, and there were a number of mitigating factors for that, none of them untoward. And the other part that I found quite useful was the presentation from the PwC partner on our tax review and the areas of focus on that. And he was able to bring to the committee meeting some current knowledge in terms of where the IRD are focusing their work with local bodies, and it's largely around GST and FBT. So we've got a work program which is making sure that we're fully compliant in that area. So I'm happy to move.
Just got a question.
Seconded Councillor Cookson.
I just got a question on it.
Yeah, sure.
So good to have the update of how the meeting went, but on recommendation B, that the strategic risks and appetite statements are updated. What are actually the changes, or are they the ones that council had workshopped and hence this is their first time this triennium that they are being approved? Which one is it? Yeah.
They have been workshopped, and this is the first time that
Thank you. I just wondered if there were changes to them since that. Thank you.
So moved Councillor Hughes, seconded Councillor Cookson. All those in favour?
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Right, our next item up is item 7.1, the health and safety report. That's on page 59 of your agenda, and we're joined by Stu Brown. Good morning, Stu.
Good morning. How are you, councillors? I will take the report as read and take you through a few areas of interest as per normal. I know we got a question last time about the proposed changes that were potentially going to affect the Health and Safety at Work Act. And you'll see I've provided a table there with the areas that are in focus. I'll take you through a couple of those just out of interest. You'll see that there's a focus on critical risks, and it's great that we do have that focus here, and that's a regular part of your agenda. The small PCBU obviously won't impact us. The overlapping with other laws is quite a good thing. There's other statutes out there, and historically they have been trumped by health and safety. But the statutes that are in place are good, and it's great to see that we may be able to just use those as they exist. The governance versus management, we will run that due diligence session again with you and with Graham McCluskey at some point in the near future. I'll reschedule that for you. That'll be quite useful in that regard. Regarding the management side of things, there may be an increased focus for ELT verification there, but we'll watch as that progresses through. And the approved codes of practice provides guidance for people when they're historically, WorkSafe have been able to do those. I think the last one was done quite some time ago, and this is potentially up so industry can actually set their own codes of practice and have those verified and work against them, which will be good. Moving through, you'll see under the national events, there was another sentencing there for M.E. Jukes and Son, sadly with another preventable death, with another substantial fine of $420,000, and there was $140,000 worth in reparations. And again, that kind of goes back to a preventable, reasonably low cost solution to that wasn't picked up. And again, it reinforces the need for us to be proactive and verify our own controls. And it's good to let you know that we are progressing with stronger assurance and verification across the organisation. So it's a great place to be for our organisation. And finally, I just wanted to bring to your attention, it's not in this report. It will be in the next report, but it's just with the months of we're behind. And we did have a notification to WorkSafe this month for an injury of a worker that was testing a hydraulic pump, and it backfired and caused an injury to his shoulder. So we're carrying out an investigation. The team have done a great job in that space, and are regularly checking in with the staff member, and he is waiting for medical treatment.
Thanks, Stu. Just around that incident, is there any outcome from it that you're aware of to date? You know, whether it was an operator and process or whether it was machinery issues?
Yeah, I haven't got the final report yet. It looks like the machinery was okay. It's been checked, and apparently there was no fault with it. It was quite a new piece of machinery, and it is serviced, I think, every 6 or 12 months, so regularly. So it's just one of those unusual instances. I can't say that there's anything that we could have done to prevent it, but obviously I haven't got that final report, and I will provide that to you in the coming report next month.
Gary Raymer. Greg, sorry. Like a Gary written on the list.
Yeah, thanks through you, Mr. Chair. So I can provide a bit more detail around that. So what we have found with the sluice pump in question was one of the baffles had shifted, which despite us making sure we are taking care of this equipment, it was not where it should have been. So that caused the issue with the backfire. So it's good to understand that. What we have done is looked at all of our sluice pumps and ensured that they are all up to date, got servicing in place, and we are also considering preventable measures such as moving to electronic starts as opposed to the pull start systems that we currently have.
Thanks for that, Greg. Robbie.
Yeah, no, I was actually going to say that the importance of those hydraulic pumps to control the sluice gates at Pyro, why they weren't identified earlier, that they should have been electric starts or even electric pumps in the shed next to it, a hydraulic electric drive or something, because I'd imagine the importance of them. They're actually started more than once every 12 months. I would imagine they started monthly or every second month. So they're if that asset isn't ready and available immediately, there's some real, not just safety issues, but there's life-threatening issues for Pyro. Thank you.
Just come to Chris for a further comment.
Yeah, thank you. So, Stu, we notified WorkSafe out of precaution. I don't think the staff member was hospitalised, so it wasn't.
That's correct.
We probably didn't need to, but we
That's
just acted on the side of caution to do
That's
the right
right.
thing.
That's right.
And just to reiterate, the staff members got ongoing issues, but is okay.
That's right. Not correct.
Just to jump in there, I've actually, if you, it's no different than starting a water blaster under pressure. It's actually something quite dangerous if someone isn't actually holding the relief and trying to start it. It will backfire. It will actually. So that's why I'm saying it's actually something that should be key started or some other way, because it will happen if the starting mechanisms aren't right to actually operate it and start it safely. It's actually, as I said, it's no different than starting a water blaster. It's a pressure system. Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Robbie. Any further questions for Stu? Just a little brief one, Stu, and you probably haven't had the reports for the week, but I'm just wondering whether you've seen an increase in sort of mental health Monday after the rugby result on the weekend.
It was a bit rough. I think they had their final the week before.
We seem to have had a chipper chair, though.
Yeah. Thank you. Moved by Katarina, seconded by Robbie. All those in favour?
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Thank you, Stu, for your report. The next item up we have is the adoption of the 2026-27 annual plan. That's on page 68 of your agenda. We have Jane joining us to run through this. Just to note that Janine is away in this space. So she's online. Oh, she is online. Sorry. Yep. Okay. All yours, Jane.
Thank you, councillors. So this report presents the 2026-27 annual plan for formal adoption. The plan represents several months of work from councillors and staff, starting in 2025. And decisions on the budget have been made, with final matters brought to council on the 28th of May to be considered and finalised at that meeting. So today's matter is around adoption of the plan and its contents. So the content is very much directed by our legislative requirements and is designed for consistency with council's planning and policy documents. So this plan must be adopted and the rates set by the 30th of June.
Thank you, Jane. Any Jen?
Thanks. I just wanted to mention I spotted a couple of typos on page 162 and 205, mainly around the unserviced central rate for transport, and it's unserviced for both rows in the table, and in the rail section. I can show you that. The other part was the key levels of service for transport connections had at least 73% of bus departures on time. I recall we had quite a long conversation about how the reliability measure was going to change to be something that's more real world experience, and I think that was going to change the value of that, and so I just wanted to check where that was at. So if we can pick that up outside of this, that's fine. It's just I want that to continue because the old data didn't make sense and doesn't sound very good. 73% doesn't sound great if you're a user of that service, for example. So just keen to keep moving on that.
Thanks, Jen. Ben.
Yeah, just two questions relating to page 109. And one of them, we have a regional development fund there at 3.779 million. And transfers of negative 302 million. I just wanted to know, do we still have a regional development fund? And the closing balance is 3,477. I just wanted to clarify the status of that.
Hang on, guys. Comments, Jane, or do we need to go to Janine?
So the fund there is a residual in the fund. I don't know if that directly answers your question, but we're no longer continuing to collect.
But we still have the residual spending.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yes, that's correct, yeah, but it's not open for applications and consideration.
okay, and the one at the bottom there, prior year surplus 3.334, with the closing reserve at 274,000. So was the prior year surplus the opening reserve balance at 3.3 million?
Janine, I don't know if you're online and able to answer that question.
Yeah, we'll come to you for that question if you heard it clearly, Janine.
Yeah, thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes. Yeah, clear as a bell.
Yeah. So the financials that are in here, in particular around the reserve balances, include some of the projections for our position at the end of this financial year. As Council's aware, the balance prior to this year has been fully accounted for through this annual plan and the release of those funds. There are also some prior year surplus funds that are committed through the LTP to delivery of short-term strategic projects, which is part of what's being reflected in that balance.
Okay, thank you. That explains why it's different. Yeah. Cheers.
Angela.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, just had a question in the chairman's forward around just the reasons behind the 25% fare increase for Te Huia. My recollection of the meeting was that the reasons behind it were to ease the cost of for ratepayers, which we're all in agreement for, and also to recognise the higher fuel costs. It does reference as well growing passenger numbers, but I don't think that was a huge driver for the percentage of increase. So just wondering if those last 4 words of that last paragraph could be wiped. Thanks.
Yeah, I did look that up after you raised it with me earlier, and the way that I've sort of articulated that to me is that it was taken into account. It wasn't a driving reason, but we did look at the impact into that space. So that's the articulation and the meaning behind that. Just interested if anyone else is concerned around.
I am, just because of some of the commentary I've seen online. I think that we can absolutely note that there was an increase in patronage, and we did acknowledge that, as you say, Chair.
Which is what the words prior to it say.
But noting that the patronage is going up is not the same as me saying, hey, it's not the same as that being the reason for me raising the motion, for example. The key two reasons are there, and I feel like the perception is out there, and the sentence, the way it's structured, can perpetuate that. So it's just I'm happy to note that patronage is going up in the paragraph. I just think that as it flows from the other reasons, it looks like a reason, and that was not my intention as the maker of the motion. So if that's possible to just slightly reword, that'd be great. But that's my thought.
Chris?
Yeah, being a co-signatory to the board, I'm relaxed about any changes if you are chair. I think the point you're making is that that council's making, it was discussed in the meeting. They've got concerns that it reflects that we're trying to get additional revenue through patronage growth. The key concern being
It just looks greedy.
Yeah, there's a narrative of it looking like we're putting it up
Page
because
76.
patronage is up. We're not putting it up because patronage is up. We're putting it up because of the other two reasons. Patronage happens to be up.
Okay, just interested. I personally don't see an issue with it. Chris is negative sitting there. Do any other councillors have a comment on that? It's on page 26, and it's relating to the Te Huia rate. Yeah, Chris.
Look, I support what you've got there, but I did ask that the impact on him, the ratepayers, is also be disclosed somewhere in here. And it is, if you look in the fine detail, but you've got to sit down and work out the numbers. I would have liked to have seen it in the summary report. For me, that is the most significant item, reason why we voted for it.
Ben?
As I recall it, the higher fuel costs actually equate. We were already at 10%, and the higher fuel costs actually added the extra 15%. So there was a logic to why you went to 25%. I note in paragraph 1 of that one, it mentions the extension of the trial relates to growth in passenger numbers. So we already referred to that to some extent. I'd support just removing those last 4 words.
Good. Anyone else?
Just comment, because I went through all the passenger numbers, and I actually found to be quite misleading, the growth. So I was wasn't comfortable with the wording as it is, because it covered periods of non-use and everything else. So I just thought that there was a bit of a red herring. So I'd leave it as it is, and my concern around that is around how it's charged anyway. So personally, I'm quite comfortable as the wording as is, but I don't see neither being here nor there either. So I think we're splitting hairs.
Okay.
I think it'll be splitting hairs, but I think it actually shows that we took into consideration that those last few words. So to me, we considered them. It reflects what we did, and it's not suggesting anything else other than what we did. And to cut it out, you then have questions. Well, they're growing numbers, so why did you need to put it up so much? You can't have it both ways.
Look, I'm going to leave it there. I've heard everybody's. I've heard that. I'm going to leave it in and move the motion as it stands in the document in front of it. So happy to move. Seconded. Thank you, Chris. All those in favour?
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Sorry, did you want to comment on record, Jen?
Yeah, I'm happy to comment. Look, it's Ben, Ange and I are the people dealing with the constituency that it affects, as well as
I think this is a whole of council decision that was made.
Yeah, it is. I'm just saying, and it came from the reason of it is perception out there on social media on the commentaries that we see. So we were just wanting to raise it to your attention. Accept that you've made a decision. Thank you.
Thank you. The next item up is the rate setting report for 26-27. That's on agenda page 183. Jane is going to speak to us about this as well. Obviously, something that has been in front of us, and the layout and all that sort of thing and information we saw back in February as well. But I'll hand down back to you, Jane.
Thank you. So this report obviously follows from the setting of the plan. It is kind of largely procedural that we now strike a rate following Council's adoption of the annual plan. And so the report sets out the rating factors that will be required for Council to assess and collect rates in order to fund the plan as presented.
Thank you. Any comments on the? Yep, Chris.
So thankfully somebody else is doing this work and we don't have to get involved in it. I hope somebody read it through in detail and checked all the numbers. But I'd just like to say thanks to the staff for the enormous amount of work that has to go into this, and I'd like to.
Thank you. So moved. Seconded. Yep. Thank you, Noel. If there are no other comments, we'll put the motion. So moved by Councillor Hughes. Seconded by No, so that's no, it was Gary trying to get on. All those in favour?
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Also echo the thanks for all the work that does go in behind this space. So thank you to staff, and if you could pass that on, be much appreciated. Thank you, Jane. Right, the next item before us is 7.4 on page 210, and this is making operative the Waikato Regional Policy Statement Change 1, which is around the National Policy Statement on Urban Development and Future-Proof Recommendation.
Morena tātou. So this is the final stage of this change to our regional policy statement. It is a change that was mandated through the National Policy Statement on Urban Development. And it basically is giving effect to that national policy statement and updates that were made to the future-proof strategy to also give effect to that policy. And we took the opportunity to tidy up a few things, take out some growth strategies that no longer applied. So it's been through the Schedule 1 process. At this point, it just needs endorsement from this council, and then we put a public notice out and it becomes operative on the specified date. So I am asking you if you have any questions and if you'd like to please endorse it.
Angela.
Oh yeah, thank you. Yeah, thank you, Miffy and the team for all your work on this. Yeah, I'm happy to move the motion as it stands. Yeah, great to see the progress that was made with the appellants and working through all the issues that were raised there. I note that Hamilton City has withdrawn their appeal for inclusionary zoning. Can you expand on reasons why? Or?
Yes, so this one got a bit complicated. We had a number of parties apply to join as 274 parties that had not made submissions to the plan and were making the claim they had an interest greater than the general public because they owned land they wanted to develop. Hamilton City and ourselves did not believe that gave them that standing to be a party. So we challenged that to the Environment Court. The Environment Court agreed with us, but however, it then was appealed to the High Court. The High Court then also agreed with us. So all this time, that appeal wasn't able to, the substantive appeal wasn't able to progress. And so, as you may know, we've had quite a few changes come through since then. Our current plans aren't going to be around for too much longer. The direction from central government has flagged they're going to change how growth planning is done. So I think Hamilton City decided it was prudent to withdraw that appeal and not try and progress through the substantive appeal.
That makes sense. Thank you.
Noel.
Oh, I'm sorry, I've left.
Still on. So we have a seconder in Councillor Dunbar Smith. Any other comments? So we have a mover in Councillor Strange, a seconder in Councillor Dunbar Smith. All those in favour? Opposed? So carried. Thank you, Miffy. And thank you for the marked up copy. It was good to be able to follow the changes. So really helpful. Thank you. Right, the next item before us is item 7.5, which is the review of the funding for flood management and drainage services, agenda page 285. And I'm not sure who's joining us for this.
Blair Keenan, but I don't.
He's just walked in. Perfect timing, Blair. So again, this is obviously reports that we have seen before. There's a couple of, 7 principles there and some reporting coming back for a business case later on, but I'll hand down to you, Blair, to talk us through this.
Thank you very much. It's really just a fairly simple question. We're reaching the end of a phase of work. Had a couple of workshops, so you should be reasonably familiar with where we're at. So as we move into next year and the next phase of work, essentially these principles are just intended as a guide to what we do. I'm happy to talk through them if you like, but in general, this is just an endorsement for us to keep going.
Yeah, thanks for that. I'll just note just an error in point 24. You talk of the 2024 long-term plan, just in our agenda. So obviously it's not the 2024 long-term plan that business case will be coming back to. So Chris Hughes.
Yeah, thanks, Chair Warren. Look, support the review. It's overdue. It needs to be done. Flood management assets represent approximately 90% total assets. Unfortunately, I'm view that we are not looking at it total sense. And what I mean by that is that we're looking at what our current restrictions are. What we're not looking at is how can we do things more efficiently. So if we can do things more efficiently, we can then reduce the asset values, which is a major cost. When you do revaluations, you've got depreciation charges on those revaluations, which makes a big difference. your actual rates. So what I'd like to challenge the team to do is to have a look at your business model, which I would like to think is going to be included in this paper. How can we do things more efficiently in future? We can actually deliver these services cheaper to actual rate pay. I don't know whether you want to try and answer that for me, Blair, but that's my comment on it.
I can make a comment. I think, I mean, we should always be trying to do that. It's not the focus of this piece of work, which is how we fund what we do. So whether it's this big or this big, the question is having a system that tells us how the allocation of that funding requirement sits.
The funding is a direct corollary of the work that goes into it, as you know. But pretty basic as an economist. I expected to see something in here which was addressing the issue, the funding issue, which we can self-administer by actually reducing our cost structure. Because we lower our costs, our funding goes down. Funding requirements go down. Look, I did expect to see something in here on that aspect.
No.
Yeah, just taking up Chris's point, I actually disagree with you, Chris, insofar as this is about the funding and who should be funding it. It's not about the efficiencies. That needs to happen, and the cost structure, absolutely. You know, I've been banging on about that since I was arrived here 3.5 years ago. So if we open the scope up, I'm concerned that we'll lose our way. So let's keep on the focus on who should be funding it, and then the next step and so on. So, Mr. Chair, this has been to a couple of workshops, but ICM, who did those workshops, has not seen the final product before today. And I just don't want this to be taken the wrong way. And I'll probably be told I'm going into a minefield, but the mihi on page 3 is completely different to what it from the draft to what it is now. And I have no issue with there being both Maori and English. What I am concerned about is the intertwining of, in the English translation, Maori, and I look at the word kaupapa. And so, and having looked up in the dictionary, Mr. Google, the wonderful machine that it is these days, it has different meaning of kaupapa depending on the context. Are we as a community mature enough, or should be an expectation that we ought to know what it means? So I don't want to step into a minefield, but I am. And so can we stick to Maori and can we stick to English? And if you use word,
So
the context.
You get where Councillor Smith's going?
Yeah,
I'm not so the English translation should be English words and of the te reo. I think that's just a clarity around that piece. Yeah.
No problem with Maori being there at all. It's just understanding the context of it. I don't got a constituency that's problematic at times, and I just want absolute clarity of what the heck we're doing. Please make it easy for us out there working with the community.
Sorry, Mr. Chair, we've heard the clarity.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Noel. Ben.
Yeah, I sat through those workshops, and my concern was that it seemed to be a very, very complex, wordy document that didn't actually come up with a whole lot of solutions. And I just wanted to know what was the funding allocated to that? Are you coming back to us to an LTP for the next stage? And where are we at with the next round of funding?
So if you look at point 24 on page 289, it says next stage business case 2. As I pointed out, that's a wrong figure, 2024, but long-term plan.
Yes. So do we have funds left from the current spend on this document?
We do. So there's remaining funds. My expectation is that we will be looking at the business case that was written a couple of years ago now. and making sure that the scope works, because we've learned some stuff in the last year from what we've been doing, and I think it's appropriate to review and potentially rewrite the business case. And if that's the case, then obviously we'll be looking at how that's funded, whether there's enough funds that remain.
And I also note a point here, point 23. You're undertaking pilot testing through the hierarchy plans adaptation work. Is that currently funded, or how much money are you anticipating will be required for that?
Let's leave the amounts for a long-term plan discussion. We're getting a business case on it, but happy to answer.
Do you plan to use current excess funds on the pilot testing for the hierarchy plans adaptation?
So the original business case saw the next phase of work as being largely engagement driven. I think now there's probably some more modelling and technical work to do, but the advantage of if we can engage with our plans, our future adaptation planning work, then that potentially gives us a bit of a shortcut into some of that, setting up engagement groups and those sorts of things. Now, we've only had very preliminary sort of discussions with the people involved in the adaptation planning from our team, so that's an open question.
Right, and will that also include the Kaiawa Coast work that's been done? Kaiawa Coast.
We weren't looking at going there, but
because there was extensive modelling done of the financials and costs and quite a bit of work spent. I don't think they've done that yet for hierarchy planes. And just finally on principle number 5, our planes is mentioned twice. Same word, technical.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ben. Keith.
Thanks, Warren. And thanks, Blair. I really enjoyed the document. I think you put a whole lot of ideas in there. I would go back to Chris Hughes's comments, though, that we still need to look at doing what we are doing with a lot more efficiency and using our money more wisely. What I'm really struggled with at the end, and I know it's a body of work still going on, is I don't get any clear direction of your basically your point, 4 points here: beneficiary pays, exacerbator pays, public pays, and ability to pay. At the end of the day, as one that's been involved in this business for a long time, need to get public to pay more. Now, that's either through rating, central government, and I think we need to steer on that. We need to know, and obviously the climate is changing, particularly with all the reform and the RMA shifts, but as it changes, we need to be right on that space. So some guidance on that would be really good. Thanks.
And that's certainly the intention of what we're planning to deliver at the end of this project. Basically a better mapping of beneficiaries and exacerbators, who benefits from these schemes and that sort of thing, so that you can then make principled decisions about who should be paying. It's also behind Principle 6, I think it is, which talks about the work that Te Uru Kahika is doing with central government to try and negotiate co-funding arrangements cross-party, so on an ongoing basis, because that will fundamentally change the problem that's driving this whole project.
Robbie.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. No, mine's more of a statement, I suppose. I understand where Chris and Keith were coming from, but I don't support. I totally support what they're saying, but I don't think this is the right place to have that discussion. That's something within the ICM committee itself. I look forward, if this process goes forward, to working on the hierarchy adaptation plan and understanding the level of safety that community wants to live in, and what that will cost in the future, because I think that's the whole idea of this. We got a long-term plan of what the cost is to have that level of service and how it's going to be funded for the next 80 to 100 years. And that's where this project sets out a real goal of how we sustainably fund that over a long period without coming back and actually saying this is getting too dear. And that's where you're trying to get with this. So 100% support that. Those communities have already been living down there for 80 years behind stock banks and other infrastructure. We need to know that that's secure and safe. And there's enough economic development and drive down there to pay for it, with some out of funding from that community as well. So 100% support it. Look forward to working in that space in the next year or so. And I also support what Noel was saying, that English words on English part of the and Torero can be on one bit, but we definitely want a clear direction of what that means on our side. So thank you. Cheers.
Thanks, Robbie. Gary Raymer.
Thank you. So my question, Blair, was similar to what Keith and Chris have raised, and I circled here the mismatch between who pays and who benefits becoming a central challenge to flood management, and I get that. Also read throughout the document, there's several references to being equitable and everything else, and I suppose two things sprung to mind for myself. One is how do we distinguish equity, and probably not so much your area, but just a comment. Are we applying the same principles of who pays and who benefits and equitable across all sectors of the council? Which is more a question for the chief executive and yourself. But I want the consistency across all sectors. But
do you want to just quantify that? I'm not getting.
So what
sort of right across councils.
Yes.
I'm not Gary. I'm not understanding.
Yes, I'll quantify that. I read this here about the mismatch between who pays and who benefits, and I suppose if I take an earlier point that was raised today, even on the Te Huia, who pays and who benefits, and how is it? So I suppose what I want to understand, and I don't understand, so it's a question probably for another sector, is the rationale or the rule across who pays, flood protection, say, to transport, are the principles exactly the same about how that's applied across different areas? And that's so that's part of it. The other part that I really want to reiterate is it is really easy to always go out and say who pays and we need more money. And so I really also like equal emphasis, as Councillor Hughes has outlined, on cost control, because I think we should be focusing on cost control first and then who pays second. And it's just so easy to always go out and get more money, and it's a criticism of all government departments. So just my view. Thank you.
I'm not sure if that needs a comment, but no.
Well, it absolutely needs a comment.
Oh, sorry, yeah, I was meaning from Blair rather than.
Sorry. Let's back the front, guys. And I think having been donkey deep in trying to understand the costings within ICM in particular, we need to understand if it's what's being charged at the moment is equitable, and therefore the funding review. And thankfully, you'll see that the picture is not on the front cover is now not a glossy Hamilton, but a flood one. So thank you for doing that, guys. We need to understand who should be paying. Then we will see whether we're actually charging the right people, and if more people should be paying, whether that's cost, because it's not about saying we need more money. It's our people who are benefiting in some way.
It's a rating model, right?
And so I don't like the fourth section about if they get affordability. The reality is, if you choose to live in a certain location, you pay to live there, and you pay the cost of doing that. And just because you can't afford it, you have to make some hard choices about moving on, selling up, or whatever. I'm sorry. If you choose to live somewhere, you pay the true costs. You can't. We are not social welfare. We are not. So I'm sorry. We've got to understand who should be paying, and then look at the next steps. To do them all at once, or even some of them at once, will actually confuse the whole process. And once you start, as you know, with computer projects and all that, you start extending the scope, you lose your focus and lose your way. So can't support expanding the scope at this stage. Thank you.
Thank you, Noel. Robbie.
Yeah, I just want to take people back in history a little bit here. These schemes and the flood protection and drainage was done by a classification system. This classification system, last time it was reviewed, cost millions of dollars. And if we're going to go down this, what you're asking for is to go back down a system of doing a classification, which we already know, this will cost $50 million or so, I'd imagine, in today's terms. That is the no benefit to these flood protection schemes, and it will not get us in any better place because we'll have another $50 million worth of debt. So this is looking at a more cost-effective way of charging people for benefit. That's what it's about. It's staying away from the classification model that is not cheap and not and is expensive, and to add more to it will become a real headache. So this is just finding some more simplistic system to collect funds that all contribute to the benefit of the scheme. And go and for one thing, go and actually get the dictionary out and go and find what an exacerbator means, because that's the bit you've all forgot to research. And if you go and find out, it's everybody that contributes. And it's in our rating model today, not all exacerbators pay. So thank you.
You, Robbie. I'll come to Chris McLeod for a comment.
Yeah, I think the conversation you're having is about scope, and that's why the original workshop was had, and we're asking to sign off on principles, because if you can agree with the high level principles, you can then go in to have some of these discussions. If you try and jump at the solutions too quickly, you'll end up getting into a space where it gets very complicated very quickly. And so I think, Blair, if I'm correct, you'd like to focus on the principles, so we've got the principles correct, so we can move forward and then have a look at within the scope that's already been agreed by council, so we can move forward and then do the next layer of work.
Thanks for that clarity, Chris. Keith.
Yeah, just a brief one, Warren. Just to your point, Noel, we're talking cross purposes, and I agree that if you choose to live in a place that's going to flood, you should have a higher cost. But the issue that I think both Robbie and Blair have raised is that who benefits, and that's I think Blair's done a really good job of that. But at the same time, and this is on a bit of a tangent, I still agree with Chris Hughes' original premise, is that we still have to look at doing what we're doing simultaneously as efficiently as we can. It's not the cheapest, the most efficiently in terms of use of resources.
That I might be on the same wavelength. And so the last 3.5 years, I've been banging on about the right people paying for the services they receive.
We've got the messages. Thank you, Noel. So we have a mover in Councillor Cookson and a seconder in Councillor Smith. If there are no other comments, all those in favour? Opposed? So carried. Thank you, Blair. We're barreling through this, and we're probably a bit of ahead of time. Councillor's quite happy to carry on. Yep. Excellent. So the next item up is the Waikato Regional Economic Development Strategy. That's on page 357 of your agenda, and we have Tariq joining us at the end of the table to run us through this item.
Atamaria koutou. Good morning, everyone. Mr. Chairperson, I'm happy to just have a run through some discussion with councillors. We do have some slides as well, if they would be helpful. Please just let me know if you wish to put the slides up as well.
Well, if you've prepared them, let's have a look at them, and if I find that they're of no relevance, we'll shut them down.
Okay.
Noting that this has been well read and well discussed, I'll just leave that there.
And thank you for everyone's input last week as well. So just to recap quickly, the strategy document that you're considering today is the latest stage of a journey that began almost 2 years ago. Various stakeholders, including the Waikato Mayoral Forum, were supportive of the Regional Council, facilitating the development of the strategy. And there have been many stakeholders involved in that so far. And because of that input from the Mayoral Forum and others, there is a deliberate and explicit locally led and regionally connected approach that's been taken. What the strategy does is it combines both a long-term vision and outcomes for the region as a whole, with flexible implementation of actions to deliver on those through annual implementation plans. I'll recap on some of the key elements of the strategy in a moment, as Councillor Smith noted you've had some discussion on this already. In addition to facilitating the strategy process and bringing together different parties and different activities, the Regional Council is also supporting key elements of the strategy and implementation plan, which I will touch on today also. So if my friend could advance to the next slide. So just looking at some of the key elements of the strategy, not the whole thing represented here. So firstly, we have a vision which is similar and in fact the same as one of the outcomes in the Council's strategic direction. We've also got 3 economic outcomes to help provide a shared direction for the region as a whole. What we will see if we implement actions toward this is long-term improvement in these key indicators, key regional economic development indicators for the region. Secondly, or thirdly, I beg your pardon, we have strategic levers. Now that refers to those categories of activities that different parties, including the Regional Council, can actually do to make a difference, to make progress towards these outcomes. And as I mentioned earlier, I will refer to shortly the Regional Council's role in contributing to these. So the key strategic levers there for the strategy are information and insights, coordination, and actual delivery of certain initiatives, agreed initiatives. Next, recognising that the Waikato has many strengths and we have opportunities to build on these for greater prosperity and make progress towards those outcomes. Finally, there are many enablers that sit underneath this. And as a result, and they're not presented here for that reason, there's quite a number. But addressing these and building on these will be the focus of the annual implementation plans. Now, most of these enablers are beyond the role of the Council. They're within the broader economic development ecosystem, different actors. And so we go on to the next slide, which shows that economic development ecosystem. Of course, businesses are at the heart of this. So in accordance with the Council's previous decisions over the last 2 years, the key contribution that the Council makes to the strategy is to facilitate its development. And we are only one member of the ecosystem that each of the members contribute to economic development. And each of these has its own levers that it can pull. And I'll mention the Council's levers in a moment. Now, the value of a strategy includes bringing these parties together with a shared direction and coordinating their actions towards it for the benefit of businesses, workers, and residents. And that coordination is also important in the implementation phase so that we've got partnerships to actually deliver actions. So now, just talking about in a bit more detail our role or the role of the Council in the implementation of the strategy, which is the phase that we would move to next, subject to your decisions today. So the council's contributions would be specifically through regional promotion and investment attraction, and that builds on what we already do in this activity. So the sorts of elements that would include an online portal on our website, to continue to have relationships with businesses to understand what their barriers or issues are, challenges are to growth. And that can include regulatory barriers, as we were reminded last week. We want to, through this activity, focus on the higher value specialisations for the region, which are, again, the principle, not specifics at this stage, so that we get the greatest benefit for the region as a whole. And finally, in accordance with the terms of reference of the Regional Growth and Resilience Committee, we would be having a specific focus on innovation, technology and AI, as mentioned in more detail in the report. There are two related activities related to our role in compiling data and evidence and drawing insights from those. So there's an external element to that in providing economic data and information to the public at large, and particularly to the stakeholders, and that would be applying both regional, national and international information as relevant to the region. We would also be, and indeed continuing to, support decision making by this council, the Regional Growth and Resilience Committee and other decision makers by providing analysis and insights on information as it becomes available, and indeed collecting it with that other function, and again making that available for drawing insights at the local, sub-regional and regional scales. As I mentioned earlier, these functions are part of the Council's general contributions to economic development, and those range from efficient delivery of our services all the way through to our integrated catchment management work, as we heard about earlier. So these are activities that you'll hear about in more detail if we get, when, I should say, we get to the stage of the implementation plan later on. So if I just move now to the next steps where we're moving to with the strategy. So subject to your decisions and adoption of the strategy today, in addition to the document form, there will be a design version published online, or I beg your pardon, a design version of that document will be published online. At the moment, it's a very basic Word document. Subject to your decisions, we will come back to you with terms of reference and composition of a steering group. So that will be workshopped with the Regional Growth and Resilience Committee in the first instance, and then brought back to the Council for decisions. And as a consequence of that approach, based on the guidance that we were given last week, we would seek to present the draft implementation plan to the Council for endorsement within approximately 3 months.
Thanks for that. Questions that come to Chris Hughes?
Yeah, look, I'm not sure whether it's a question, Mr. Chair, or whether it's just a general observation. Thank you for your report, Tarek, and the amendments that you've made to it, because I think it's now starting to come back and focus where we intended this to go initially, and just to see that expanded. But can I step back a couple of years? He used to have a place here in Hamilton called Ruakura. He had more PhDs employed in this region than anywhere else in New Zealand. The reason that this area is so productive from the farmland is because of Ruakura directly, and that benefited the whole of New Zealand. It wasn't just here, but the Waikato excelled because we had people here with skills and a huge intelligence base, totally focused on how can we do things better. Now, I know this is probably getting down into too much detail, but I still see that as being a key issue for the region, and yet it's not mentioned in here. And You know, like I had tried to get the regional council to become focused on this as something which we should be driving probably through Wellington to re-establish a hub. And I'd like to see it here in Hamilton. We've got the Innovation Park. It could be attached, I don't know. But we've got an enormous number of companies that are very much dependent on the farming community in this region. It's the biggest generator of wealth for the region, no question about that. And I just think it should be a focus in here. It's just my gut feel for it. I'd like to hear other people's views on it.
You have comments around that? Direct?
Yeah, just initial observations before councillors discuss that. Yes, we've taken the direction about keeping the strategy more simple and not including specific initiatives. The opportunity and the strength that you've mentioned is reflected, I would say, if we could maybe go back to the second slide, Dave, with the colourful diagram, is that we've got two strengths and opportunities here. One is around boosting bioeconomy productivity, which is the second one, and the first one around leveraging our location advantages. So I would say that what you've suggested as a potential focus or initiative fits squarely within both of those, about reclaiming our place as the primary centre or a primary centre of research, development, innovation to support bioeconomy sectors in New Zealand. And it's certainly something we could look at with your direction.
Thanks, Ben.
Yes, good to see that the strategy is actually getting out there. In terms of the design things, and just picking up the point Chris has made there, page 382 is Appendix B. It actually shows dairy cattle farming, dairy production as one of the major things in the Waikato. I think these parts of it have been dumped to the very back of the document and they're lost. Also, if you come to the end of the document itself, is the design sort of function, it talks about monitoring evaluation, which is essentially page 379. And then there is no conclusion. It simply dumps to a slide showing intervention logic. Then it runs straight into a glossary of terms. Now, when I get to a glossary of terms, I usually presume I'm at the end of a document. Some of the best parts of it are Appendix B, C, and D. So I just think some of them should be moved up and put into the document rather than dumped to the back. That's where the actual work you've done is actually covered rather than, and so as a result of their workshop, you've actually, in Appendix B, you've noted what it means, what Figure 4 means. I also think the SWOT analysis, which is the very last thing, is also downplayed. I think that was a good piece of work. So I'm just saying I think there's design work that needs to be done here. And just on another technicality, I think the little picture of page 376 with a little map of Hamilton looks silly. I mean, I just dumped that. But yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Thanks. Just picking up on Ben's points, Tariq, is there so feedback on what Ben's touched on and the ability to get that to carry through into what a digital document's going to look like? Sort of what's the process and ability in that space?
Yeah, absolutely. So similar to the strategic direction, where councillors had the opportunity to input into that, we'll do the same thing with this.
Okay, so the ability is to, obviously, I saw you note those points, so yes. It'd be good to see that, follow through.
Yeah.
Okay, Keith.
Yeah, thanks, Warren, and thanks, Tarek, for the presentation. But just for the benefit of the councillors, we had the workshop, and we've done a lot of talking since then, and I think the momentum is heading in the right direction. And as Tarek's put up in a slideshow, we're talking about the in September having a more formatted sense of direction. So in the way I see it at the moment, we've been collecting a whole lot of information, and we have some sort of almost statutory requirements to have a the Waikato story working in the background so that we can sell the Waikato. But in the next couple of months, hopefully we'll get to a point where we are more aligned and brought down the guardrails to a more specific direction with the limited amount of funds we've got. And that's work in progress. But what we're asking of you is to acknowledge what's there. And as you pointed out, Ben, parts of it are in the wrong place and probably don't have the highest priority. And we will have some more workshops. And the one part of there, I think it's in you've got a steering group, but I think we actually need some outside workshops with other people in the industry as well. So it's work in progress. And I commend Tarek for the work he's doing behind the scenes. It's just all we want is your buy-in, so that it's a living document. We're heading in a direction, and we want to sell Waikato.
Thanks for that, Keith.
Happy to move.
Yeah, so Ben moved. Angela.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Tarek, for your work since you came on board. Yeah, fantastic to see the good range of sectors and businesses. And it's really important to diversify the economy. So just go back to your colourful
Do you want to slide back up?
Slide that you had up before, just about leveraging destination marketing, really. And you mentioned tourism there, but I wonder, you only mentioned the regional film office once, specifically on 378, but we all know, we all watch movies, TV, etc., that the best way to attract people to the Waikato, to New Zealand, is through screen. So just wondering, that one's important, but the other colourful one. Yeah, that one. Yeah, leveraging location advantages. I think it's important to really acknowledge the work that Waikato Screen has done to date, and even the current mood is to not fund them at the moment, moving forward. But we have funded them, and just in the media, they're going around all the district councils, and I'm just a bit worried that we're out of step with what district councils are doing. They've built an amazing destination, Waikato, and really showcased and brought a lot of local value to certain districts within our region. And it would be such a shame to not recognise it through the strategy in a more specific way. I also note that WRC contribution is, economic data and information, and they are a small team. So I'm wondering if we could, in choosing not to fund them, support them in kind with producing their reports. So when they do go out to other funders, they've got the information that those funders are seeking. Wonder if we could do that way, and really see a future with local government reorganisation, that a lot of these people who are seeking funding, maybe their job will be a lot quicker because they're just coming to one or two or three places, depending on where the local government lands. But yeah, I really recognise it as a future growth industry, and as with anything, you diversify. So yeah, if we can just get them recognised, that would be great. Thank you.
Thank you, Angela. Quite relative to the amounts of screening that have gone on just in the local region in the last couple of months. Yeah. We have a mover and a seconder for this item. Are there any other questions of Tarek? If not, we'll put that motion. It is. Oh, it's on my screen. Sorry. No. Having issues with democracy this morning, eh? Anyone else finding that? Right. So just noting that there's that last little part of the sentence that's different to your agenda. that it is a living document, as with all our strategies. You're happy with that, Ben, as the seconder? Slightly different to what was in the agenda. All those in favour? Opposed? So carried. All good. The next item up is the Local Government New Zealand and the remits going to the AGM. Again, what I was going to do here is go through them all. The councillors want a 10-minute break prior to this. I'm getting some nods. So yeah, okay. So let's adjourn and back at 11:10. Thank you. Righto, councillors, let's get the meeting back on the tracks. His idol, he's watching his idol. I'll just check with Dave that we're back recording. We are back recording. Right, so again here, we're just going to run through these local government remits for the upcoming AGM. Once again, you'll know that it's online, so just want an indication of where people are thinking they want us to vote when we go to this meeting. Obviously, as staff have noted, some are relevant to us, some aren't. My suggestion would be that we abstain from those that aren't, and that way it's not a vote either way that may throw numbers out, but entirely open to everybody's view around that. No,
I don't think we should do that because we are members of the community. I appreciate we're voting as councils, and just for example, the Dog Control Act is not a regional council business, but I still think we have a duty from our ratepayer base to give an opinion, and I would certainly support the priorities for reform under that act. There's one or two further down that I wouldn't. So I'm not sure, unless we agree that position, we should determine whether we're doing it on regional council matters only, rather than just assuming.
As I said, that was my point of view. Happy to hear other ideas. So,
I have one.
yes, Karona.
Yeah, I agree. I looked at the remits, and every one of them actually have an effect on each of one of us. Dogs, for instance, that's not just because Rotorua put it in. Vaping, our teenagers are getting younger and younger, and vaping shops are coming up all over the place. In a little town I passed by, they got 3, So I just think we should have a really good look at how this affects the community more than it affects us as a councillor.
Okay. Yep.
And I agree with you.
Yep.
Really.
So we will still run through them one by one, and I guess it will then drop out, whether the support around the table or not for which way we may want to vote. So just for clarity, we will be voting at the AGM on each of these. It's just which way we go, whether it's support, oppose, or abstain. So I'm taking it as read. And so we'll just run through as they're listed there. So the first one up is the priorities for Dog Control Act reform. I think just a show of hands, just a quick show of hands, I think will pretty much give us the flavour of where councillors are sitting. Unless someone particularly wants to speak to it, then please put your light on.
Give us 3 options.
The 3 options. So, and I'll come to them just as they're shown there in the agenda, as in voting first, support, second, oppose, and third, abstain. Obviously, if there's more than 7 in support, then we don't need to carry on down the track. So, the first one up, as I say, is number 1, which is priorities for Dog Control Act reform. So, hands up those that support this motion. Oh, clearly more than 7. So we will vote in support of that. Number 2 is improve regulation of vape retailers. So that's improving the regulation of that. We've already heard that, so support in that space. So I just hands back up because yes, no, thank you. So we will be voting in support of that. Financial support for government reform implementation costs. Support for that. I think that's totally relevant. We have been turned down so far, but it's something that we can try and push through again. So there's support for that. We wanted to talk to that.
Ask why? Because to me, that should my belief is that should lie where the costs lie. In other words, the people that are responsible for their region should pay costs. And the reason I'm saying that is that some people are going to draw this out forever. They should wear the cost of doing that. And I don't think we should be sharing that cost with them.
I'll just remind you of the at least 112 million that it cost Auckland to go through this process, and the government help that was given in that space.
Well,
curious position from a
Yeah.
rate
So,
control thing.
yeah, no, and happy to hear those views. So once again, financial support for government reform implementation costs, supporting, hands up. So that is the majority in that space, so we will support that. The removal of representation review requirements to simplifying local government reform. During local government reform.
Can I just have a bit of clarification on that? Was it, as I didn't quite understand what's community and that sort of thing, is it?
Yeah, that's right. So that's a piece of work that we do. It's rather expensive, and it goes around and looks at the representation. Why this has been brought up is obviously with the reform process that we're going out at the moment, that representation will completely change. So what this remit is looking to do is to stop us having to go out and do that, spend that money when that representation potentially will change in the next couple of years. So. Sorry, we've got some more questions around that.
No, I think I've just answered.
Okay. Jennifer, what you said, so. Okay,
There might be, anyway,
Jen.
we have a representation review that we ourselves have asked to have happen this triennium. Obviously, the Head Start process is happening. I just wanted to say, while happy to support this, should things change with the upcoming general election and such, and we are in no man's land again on what's happening with this, I think we should still, as a council, be asked whether we continue to want to have that representation review. That's all. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. So once again, those that are supporting this motion.
Which one's that?
Number 4, the removal of the representation review piece, which we are legislated to do. Thank you. So we'll be supporting that. Devolution of place naming authority to territorial
Can I speak
authorities.
against this?
Yeah, please. No.
Look, we had this issue a number of times in the district council, and where you get vocal, small numbers of people wanting to change place names, or because something has gone astray and historical issues want to be relitigated and all that, it becomes very, very personal, aggressive, and the likes. And I didn't think it was appropriate because people came to the district council looking for support to go to national, whatever it's called, I forget. And I think it's best, personally, from that experience, resting with the national body. And I don't understand really from the comments that they've explained it well enough to change it. So look, I'm only one, and I'll be saying opposed, but yeah, just for that reason, through experience.
Okay, so no, it's good. It's good to hear personal experience into that space. It's obviously not something that really comes in front of us. Any other comments from? Oh, sorry, Ben.
I just agree with Noel. That's all. It's something much better done centrally, and they seem to be doing a good job on it.
Okay, so this is to support the removal review requirements. No, sorry, it's not. It's number 5. Devolution of place naming authority to territorial authorities. So those that support that, we have nobody. Those that oppose it, I think, yeah, we have the majority there. So we will be voting to oppose that. The next one up is number 6, the enhanced role for government in supporting sub-national diplomacy.
This is essentially trips to China for sister cities, and so I really don't see it should get government funding. They tend to be Perth jobs in the best of the time, so I would oppose.
I don't know much about this one, so I might abstain, just because we haven't had that experience in this council.
Any other comments? So the first selection up is to support the enhanced role for government in supporting sub-national diplomacy. Don't see any support for that around the table. To oppose it. Sorry, can I just those hands again as an opposing? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and abstaining. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so we will be opposing that. bulk funding for transport activities. Now, you will be aware that this is the one that we have put forward. So I'm hoping that it's a pretty obvious vote. But so first up is to support the recommendation and remit there. Hands up. Thank you. I would expect nothing else. And number 8 is improving LTP audit requirements.
Chris, does someone want to talk about that, what that means?
Just Mike, yeah, Chris. No.
I support this. I think anything, what happens with the audit is that you're going to get uniformity between different bodies throughout New Zealand. That's why I support it. I don't support it because we're wasting money. We are, but otherwise you can run into situations where you don't get uniformity, and I think it's critical that everybody does the same thing.
Yep. Thank you, Chris. If there's no other comments, so support of this remit. Yeah, we have the majority in that space. And finally, number 9, a fairer approach to uneconomic transport infrastructure funding.
Richard.
Yeah.
Are we on number 9?
Number 9, yeah. Yep.
Yeah, this is mainly the bridges down.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Noel, you probably got more experience from its district.
Not now.
I actually circled abstain when I was going through this. So.
Okay, so, yep, okay. Oh, sorry, Keith, you had a comment.
Yeah, I'm struggling with this one because I don't actually understand it, because I feel for the outer regions, and I think we need to support them in terms of in any access issues they've got. But I don't support just holus bolus infrastructure that's for the sake of infrastructure. So I'm confused. Well, most of you know that already.
Yeah, Chris.
I sort of liken this to what we were talking about before about funding for our infrastructure, for our drainage infrastructure. Because if people want to go and build in a silly place, well, then they should suffer the consequences and pay for it. And I see this as a similar situation. I know that's unfair on the people who want to go and live on the coast, and they've got one bridge which gets in there, which gets washed out every time the slash gets washed down. That's life. I don't see why we should be paying for it. But make the companies that have not getting rid of the slash properly pay for it.
But if you look at Hamilton, Mr. Chair, the Southern Links is supposedly was being designed a year or so back, and it hasn't yet been funded in the government, the budgets, etc. But the government advanced the funding for that bridge across the river for future at some stage. There's no economic benefit right now, but it will in time pay off. So I have no problem with those sort of examples happening, but it's nice to do, but not actually an economic proposition. But, so I think we're better off abstaining on this one.
Okay. Gary Maguire.
Just for clarity, this was brought up at the Mangatangi meeting the other night before last, was we government's giving away, like pulling back from funding roads like Highway 22 that runs from basically Pukekohe right through to Raglan and takes in all that productive area out there. So that puts a huge loading on the ratepayers in that area there. Is that what this is talking to?
Yes.
Yeah, but reality, Gary, Highway 22 is a misnomer now, because Highway 22 only exists between Drury and Pukekohe. South of Pukekohe, it's still called Highway 22, but it's no longer a national highway.
Yeah, okay. Let's stick to what the remit is talking to. Yep.
So that is the point that I'm making, is that we government is pulling out of these and just putting it onto the local areas so heavily that is this asking that we're pushing for government to be able to put more funding into those? Besides,
That's what it's asking. Yeah, Chris, you've got your finger paused as if you want to comment.
I was just wondering if it's actually more whether council has built it in the past. What they're asking for is that NZTA and start to co-fund that, as opposed to whether it was a government funded thing in the first place. I think there's a distinction there.
Keith.
Yeah, just to Chris Hughes's comments, we're so dependent, even the Waikato, on the rural infrastructures and the trucks and stock trucks and fertilisers and milk tankers. So I think if it is an LGNZ issue, then I think we've got to support it.
Yeah, I'll agree. I was going to abstain, but I think that in the interest of fair for ratepayers, this remit starts a conversation of advocacy, and we don't know the nuances of where that's going to go, but no harm having the conversation for fair funding of infrastructure, which we want to have all the time on ours as well. So I'd support it as collegiality.
Yeah, I've got Gary Raymer and then Chris Hughes.
Largely been said, Chair, but I support what Jen has just said and what Keith, because I see it. It opens up a can of worms to some extent about council-funded bridges and in the future, and so it needs to be a discussion because where it starts and where it stops. But I support the remit.
Yep. Chris Hughes.
Yeah, thanks, Chair Warren. I think we probably should go into PECs before I make my statements, but it's your call. And because this is really a criticism of the Hamilton City, you want me to continue or not? Yeah. And the money they've spent out there on that bridge, Mrs. Knowles' point, originally budgeted for 50 million, cost 160 because they got money from Wellington. They said, oh, good, we'll spend it. And that's what happened. Irresponsible. We end up with a debt on our Hamilton City books. That's why I'm dead against this.
Okay. Ben.
I was just going to ask someone who is from the Regional Transport Committee about whether this is something that we should be supporting, given that we run RTC. Because my view was to abstain, but I'm just going to ask Mikhail or Angela.
You go first.
Yeah,
Previous Chair.
I'm going to support it then, mainly because, there's a lot of infrastructure. Well, you look at the example in there of Stratford, 18 bridges in a district. So it's a huge cost for some of these ratepayers that are, the district is only small, and Waitomo would be the same. Taihape would be the same when you look at down in Horizons, a lot of infrastructure on small bridges to bring goods, to get cattle to farming stuff to certain areas. So, I think it is a big concern. And as Jen said, it's a start of a conversation to say how is this going to be spread out. I know your example, Chris, on the Hamilton Bridge, but that's getting to the extreme of a bigger bridge. I'm talking about these little small bridge in the countries.
Yeah. No, right. Yeah, but there's another issue, Mr. Chairman. I absolutely agree with what these guys are saying, but our own rules make it difficult. There's a bridge up at Wairinga. That's for some reason on an offset angle going up from Wairinga to Satawe 2. The district council wants to put a box culvert on there. Regional council says, no way, you've got to have a bridge. It'd be damn sensible to do a box culvert. Drop it in, all over in a few days. Bridge, months. So we've got to worry about our own internal way we do things here. So,
okay. Angela.
Yeah, just to add to the conversation for the smaller communities, we hear it through RTC as well, that it's more than economics. I mean, people need to live and access health, education, etc. And if they can't, if there's no bridge, they're stuffed. So I think we need to support this one.
Thank you. I think and I'll come to Carolina in a second. I think we're hearing when you apply it to certain situations, you can see a merit in it, and then you can look at Chris's comments around also applying it to a certain situation, and the funding hole that potentially that's dropped into. So I think there's two sort of sides to that. Kiraina.
I support it because one, Stratford is not in my area. I don't live there. They put in the submission. They put it in for their area. They're the ones who know the area better than I will ever do unless I go there to live. So who do I think I am to go oppose something that this district council thinks is necessary for them, which is just like our one, Waikato Regional Council. We think it's right. We've gone for it. Why on earth would anybody else go against it? So that's my point. I think it's a great idea for them because I read it.
Yep. Just.
And Mr. Chairman, is that we're also part of State Highway 3 working group, which is the Taranaki Regional Councils and all that in ours. So I think we should, as part of WRC Transport Committee, be supporting any area down there.
Okay, so I'll put the motion around that remit, fairer approach to uneconomic transport infrastructure funding. So the first, raise your hands if you support that motion. So that's, carried in the support. So we'll be voting to support this. What's this priority order of remits to be determined? Is that
item 13?
I'm not sure the relevance of it, Dave, so I'll come to you for.
Local Government New Zealand have asked us if we can determine an order or partial order of the remits, and that is essentially for them to collate that information and they will prioritise the focus, so to speak.
Okay, that makes sense to me. I would suggest that we go with what the staff have recommended because those are the ones that are relevant to Regional Council, and we have said to them we want to prioritise Regional Council. And I think they're good ones, including our own.
Yep. I actually think that the item number 4 about the representation review during the Head Start process should actually come as number 2. Bulk funding obviously is the one that we put forward. There's item number 13 on the.
Yeah, I agree, Ben.
Yeah.
But either 2 or 3, I don't mind.
Yeah, because the financial support we're not going to get, basically. So, but
the cynic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We
need to advocate.
So Ben, can you give me a series? Sorry, Dave's already picked it up.
Item 13.
Okay. Yeah. No. I was just getting numbers for the remits. Just so that
number 4 is number 2.
Yep.
And then it's a toss up whether you want the LTP first.
Yeah, we've got
or the financial support for reform. One of them drops off the end.
We've heard a bit of a preference. Okay, so we will come to vote on. Well, let's separate that out, Dave, and we'll just vote on that now. At number 3.
Would you do one
separately? Well, I think. Well, are you taking the votes that we've just gone through,
so
or as a whole? Yeah.
And if you like, when we get to the end,
Okay. Let's do that. Okay. Yep. And so then number 4, whether the council supports, opposes, or abstains the proposed rule change to allow young elected members and Te Marauta to submit remits at future AGMs.
Yeah. So if I could speak to it.
Yeah.
So at the moment, only councils, the 78 or so, come up with remits. But these 2 official bodies within LGNZ that happen to group councillors, I'm also surprised that they don't actually currently do this, but they obviously get together as councillors and come up with ideas. I think they're a great source of ideas, whether it's young elected members for issues that young people see in local government, or whether it's Te Maruata, which is issues that affect Māori in particular. So I look at them as a good source of ideas, and then obviously whatever they come up with will get voted on like we just did now. So why not have the ideas come forth? And I've seen in the past how, especially in the young elected member group that I'm still part of, there'll be like 1 or 2 20 or 30-year-olds in a council, and it can be really hard for them to try and get their idea across and sponsored, like Angela did, to Zone 2. Sometimes they don't even go much to Zone 2, or there's people around who say, oh, don't worry about remits. But when you're in a supportive group like these two, it can encourage you to actually put your idea forward. So I think it's good to have that as an option, because we'll either vote for it if it's good or bad if it's not.
So just noting that this is relevant around the LGNZ system and their ability to put remits forward in that space compared to the requirement currently where councils put remits into that space. So it's just a nuance in that area, Katarina.
Okay, I don't know what young elected members are, because we don't have them. I don't know if they are elected separately as a council member.
Hang on, hey guys, please.
So if they are elected as a council member on the council, or they've got a committee of their own, then like Te Maruatu, the difference is Te Maruatu are councillors. They are Māori councillors who get a vote.
Yep.
In the council room.
So these are
But
young elected members on councils. So they have their own young people's group.
Really?
I'll give it
Because
a better.
I know Waipa doesn't, Otorohanga doesn't. Well, I know councillors that don't. Otorohanga doesn't.
Hang on, hey guys,
Can I just help clarify?
Yep.
So Te Maruata, there's a
we're
membership requirement of it. In a similar way, young and elected members are a subgroup of local government New Zealand. There's an age limit on it, but they are elected councillors and councils.
Where Te Maruata is a councillor. I belong to it. Tipa belongs to it. We do. We belong to the Maruata. We are part and parcel. I personally don't have a say in either way. I think it's a bit of a double dipping of myself. Because we get to do it here, and then we're going to go into a group of our own and do it again. But those of us who actually chose to stay with LGNZ, one of the reasons is something like this. So I'll have to wait for the vote to come around. I would probably go for it, because that's why I voted them to stay with them.
Yeah. So just noting, it is a separate pathway in, as Katarina sort of indicated. They can bring their ideas for remits to their own councils to then endorse and take through. So to Katarina's double dipping comment here. No.
Yeah, double dipping, I think that sums it up for me. I think I'll start a mature person's subgroup. So, because oversubscribed. The reality is, anything age-based is normally illegal under the Human Rights Act. So let's just move on from that. It is double dipping. There are mechanisms in which these members can sponsor it, have it sponsored through their own councils. To me, it's preferential. The councils are the members, not the individual persons, councillors. So, you start to diminish the importance of membership. So, I'll vote against it.
Ben,
could we just clarify, if we have a young elected member councillor currently?
I can confirm. I snuck in by a few weeks.
The age is 40, I believe, isn't it?
Yeah, the age is 40 at the date of the election. So I was 39 at the date of the election. I'm now no longer 39. Yeah.
So do you want 2 votes for a remit or not?
So I don't believe it's double dipping. I believe it is because you don't win anything, right? Like you're just putting an idea up. And the reason that YEM exists, the reason Te Maruata exists, is because council demographic are generally not of those two minorities. And so it's simply a supportive space to come up with stuff. Sometimes when you get together with a bunch of other young people, your ideas flow and you come up with a better idea than you did in this group. That's all. And I just want good ideas to vote on. Like whether they come this way or that way should not matter to us. We want good ideas. We want good policy.
And Angela.
Yeah, I would speak in support of allowing the process change. As Jen said, we shouldn't be scared of different ideas or new ideas, and we've got this forum to either support, oppose, or abstain. So, I'd be in support.
Right. So number 4, that the council either so we'll vote on the support as we did previously. The proposed rule change to allow young elected members and Te Maruatu to submit remits at future AGMs. So hands up those that support that. Those that oppose it? And any abstentions? Okay, so we will be voting to oppose that. Thank you, Dave, for outlining those. Yes, so we are capturing the whole lot. We've gone around and gone through each of them one by one. So I'm happy to move the motion. Robbie seconds. All those in favour? Opposed? So carried. And next up is the Local Government Act or Local Government New Zealand activity update. So there's a paper there with a number of items that have come out from local government recently. I'll just touch on a few more as part of my sort of verbal submission into it. So a couple of other things that have come through. So we have had legal advice on the government's local government systems improvement bill. And that's pretty much based around councillors' access to information within their own councils in that space. So the legal advice has come through that the current amendment bill in front of government would not hinder that ability to come through that. And it's also outlined that the process that we would look at is generally as that would come through our CE. So a request for that information and up through the CE, sort of indicating that the CE is sort of, I use the term lightly, gateholder of that process going through. Noel.
I see on page 427, Mr. Brad Olsen's mentioned with his recent faux pas with the Greens. Have we still got the confidence in him to be one of our advisors?
So you're referring to some of the budget statements that the Greens have made that was sourced from Brad? Is everybody across those bloopers, so to speak?
A significant 800 million blooper.
Just to say, Brad Olsen is here for the LGNZ, not necessarily for us.
Yes, I appreciate that.
Yep.
He's an advisor to us.
Yeah, Chris.
Look, he did apologise. He said he didn't have time. It was pushed under his nose at the same time as the microphone was. So it was his. He's put his hand up and said it's my fault. So
good man.
I think that's probably the point of it. We all make mistakes, and if you're prepared to stand up and admit to them and acknowledge them, then that shows the character of the person.
So I'm fine with that.
Yep. Okay. So next one up. So there's been a number of meetings that Local Government New Zealand has held with various ministers. So just to outline a few for them, and this is on the simplifying of local government. So they've had meetings with Andy Foster and Jamie Arbuckle from New Zealand First, also Rachel Brooking from Labour, and Minister Watts and Simon Court. So just an update of those for you. So there are a lot of meetings with ministers and MPs going on at the moment, and right across the House. So it's one thing that we've also always acknowledged, that it's not just speaking to the government of the current day, but also those that are sitting in opposition, and that to make sure that you can get what's important to us out into that space. And just also on their website, so a number of recordings are now available. I'm not sure how many have actually seen them on the day or not, but there is the Head Start recording with DIA regarding the Head Start process. There's also lessons from the Auckland amalgamation on their regional council functions. They've done a piece on that, and also how unitaries work. So those are all available through their website. And so I would encourage you, if you haven't watched those, you can either look at a transcript or watch the actual Q&A sessions relating to those. So a few questions popping up around the room. So I'll go to Robbie.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd just like to point out something that I'm a bit confused about, that I thought I was asking for reporting from the regional chair to give some point of view. There's no discussion of him in this document. That's personally to us.
Chair.
No, the regional, not the regional council, the regional chair of the.
Yep.
So I'm disappointed.
So you asked for quarterly on that.
Oh.
So we aren't 4 months down the track.
No, I asked for quarterly financials.
And
that's quarterly financials I asked for. I thought
we
the
don't
chair.
get financials quarterly.
No, anyway.
So, and 6
But
months
anyway,
in
I
person.
just want to put out there that I'm disappointed that our regional chair has not actually said what they're doing for us in that month. So I'll just put that out there. I'm disappointed as the member that put this motion forward. This information is there. I'd like to think you actually speak to him and say, I would like some comments on what you're doing in our area. Thank you.
Can we get clarity on that regional sector chair as opposed to regional chair?
Yeah. And my understanding of what I've read and saw and was part of that meeting, obviously, was that was to come through quarterly, that reporting, and in person every 6 months. So we haven't been 4 months down the track yet. So that was July. So looking to get Dion to present that report in July. Okay, so just to those comments, Robbie. Yeah. So I am aware of the time frame.
Under the pressure that I've been put under, I just wanted to make that put out there. Thank you.
Quarterly is 3 months.
Oh, it is too. Okay, so that's my fault then. That's my fault. I was hoping for a 16-month year, but anyway. Right, Keith.
Yeah, just in terms of your discussions, and obviously Chris McLean and yourself have been having discussions with the ministers. What's the mood from the current opposition parties to the local body reform? Are we likely to see any change in the momentum or anything like that, or is it just business as usual?
From my view, from what I'm seeing, it's very, very quiet in that space. They indicated, and that's going back a couple of months now, that they would wait and see what came out and the framework around that. I haven't heard from an MP or a minister of an opposing party a position with that. My understanding, they sort of articulated that they would carry on down that track. Maybe timing would change. They would tinker around the edges, but there's been nothing, no black and white statement that we would do this or we would do that. So yeah, that's from my view. Chris and his circles might know something different.
No, very similar. And there's a bunch of parties, who you might be asking more about the major parties. I think it's consistent. I think Tangi Urikiri has indicated that he doesn't oppose what's being put forward, but he doesn't necessarily support all the detail and the timing of it, as the chair just said. And I guess as a reminder, when previous parties were the coalition, they put forward the whole future for local government discussion. So they were obviously, it was on their mind. I just thought, in terms of the discussion about the regional, where the regional positioning is, and probably particularly what LGNZ, I know that the point made was what's the regional chair who's on National Council doing for us. But I did see an article, I think came from the National President, talking about what they're doing in the regional sector, and I just presume that gets circulated to everybody.
I thought it did. Yeah. It does. Yeah. And just going back to, I've just gone back over counting my fingers again. So I thought we moved that in April. So May, June, July is 3 months. So I'd just like to qualify that too for the record. Ben.
Just to say that if anyone wants to catch up, there is a Zoom at 8 a.m. tomorrow and 5 p.m. tomorrow night on these issues. So yeah.
Yeah, and look, I know there's opinions on both sides of our membership and that, but this is you're getting input from councils all around the country in these Q&A things. So they're actually worth listening to, just to hear what else is going on in the local government world. That's all. I just lay that there. Okay, so if there is no other questions, comments, or anything, I'm happy to move this item. Seconded, thank you, Mikhail. All those in favour? Opposed? So carried. I believe that brings us to the end of our meeting. The public excluded minutes, just for note, were passed in the open session. So I'll go to Chris for Rob.
Something that happened this week, last week or this week? Last week. I'd just like to bring up the discussion about that if we're doing funding, like the other day with Manga Telfree, that we go into public excluded when we're discussing that, not like the other day when we had public in the gallery and we went into a squabble of how we were going to fund it. So I don't know if we need to change our terms of references or the way we go about things, but I'd like to think in the future that when we're having a debate of if we're funding an organisation or not, we go into public excluded and then come out and give them information on what we've done after the meeting, not during the public while they're in the meeting.
I'll come to Democracy Day first and foremost, just around legality.
Thank you for that. So I will bring to your attention that the terms of when we can and cannot go into public excluded are explicitly set out in Lagoima. So there is no room for discretion there. There's, for example, the ones we're all familiar to, commercial sensitivity, negotiation, and so on. In terms of what that may mean in a funding round, free and frank conversation would not be grounds for us to go into public excluded. So the freedom of conversation isn't up to the standard required for us to do that. We need to make sure that we function within one of those other categories to get there.
Okay. Just like to put it out there that the mechanism that we used the other day wasn't appropriate.
Chris, yes?
Yeah, look, I could mount an argument that it's commercially sensitive because I believe it is. And I think it would classify under that category. It should be X item. And I also felt uncomfortable with having the people who are directly affected by it sitting in the room listening to this. I'm surprised.
So we've heard our legal requirement and that sort of thing. So I think it will come back to a case by case and whether they qualify in that space. But so noted, Robbie.
Yeah, I just that it's noted that when we're going through those discussions, Dave, that you take that into account and come back to the chair of those committees before the meeting takes place, if it should happen or not. I think that's important. Then we could control the conversation a lot easier.
Noted. Right. Right, that brings us to the end of the meeting. I'll get Chris to close this with a karakia.
Thank you, councillors. Unahia mai te uru tapanui, kia watia, kia mama, tinako, te tinana, te hinanaru. I te ara takatu, koe rā e rongo, e whakaaria aki ki rongo, kia tina, ina, homiei, huiei, tai kia.
Thank you, councillors. Meeting closed at 11:53, 7 minutes ahead of schedule. No.
So we've got, some of us have got a meeting at 2. Can we bring that forward?